You can show your cat Gia in between.
She walked over here, but
Yeah,
maybe she'll talk later.
yeah. Let me. I don't know whether this one will. If I use this, I'm not sure whether it will pick up the computer audio or not. Let me try so that there's more audio clarity. Yeah. Hi, friends and everyone. Today, Matt is with us, and Matt is an engineer, and he's also very active at writing while he was in college, and right now he's writing about PPP or H-1B dependent employers. So, yeah, Matt, please introduce yourself to Kumar Exclusive subscribers.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Matt. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a software engineer. So I live in the Chicago area. So I've been a software engineer for about the last 20 years. So yeah, just to give you some background, I guess about so what Kumar mentioned. So I started doing I started getting interested in doing research about body shops in Illinois about a year ago. So about last November.
Yeah.
So I heard there was somebody wanted to start a national project to look into what are all the body shop companies that are operating around the country. So they focused on specific states. So I kind of volunteered for Illinois. So I wasn't really aware at the time of how many body shops there were in Illinois, but I was curious to find out. So I started doing that research. It took a few weeks maybe, and I put together a list, which I think Kumar is going to post on his channel. So I discovered about 300 body shops in the Chicago area. I was quite surprised actually at how many are in Schaumburg. So there was about 50 that I found in Schaumburg and also 50 in Naperville. So even more than in like downtown Chicago itself. So it seems like the Chicago suburbs are kind of a big area for these shops.
Yeah.
So the current project, so the PPP research, for those of you who don't know, so PPP stands for Paycheck Protection Program. So this was started as a way to provide relief to small businesses affected by the coronavirus pandemic. So I was watching a video with Jay Palmer, and he mentioned that body shops were actually receiving PPP money. So he knew about that because he had submitted a FOIA request to the government to release the information about the recipients of the PPP, and he found that a lot of those companies were body shops. So Jay Palmer has a list of those shops. So at the time, they hadn't released the names of those shops. So, but in July, the SBA actually released a list of all the company names for companies that received more than $150,000. So since they released that data, I thought, well, I was curious to see if any of the body shops that I had found in Illinois had actually received any PPP. So that's when I started looking into that. Was in about a month ago, and I did find that there were maybe about 100 companies in Illinois that had received PPP. So I did post some of those company names on Twitter. I got expanded into looking into other states that were receiving PPP. I didn't have any information about body shops in other states besides Illinois, but I found in one of your videos, Kumar, that there's a website called Telugu360.com, and they had actually compiled a list of IT staffing companies that had received PPP. So that's when I kind of started looking at those companies and the ones that had received the biggest amounts, which is $5 to $10 million. So I posted some information about those companies, and then so just recently within the last few weeks, I've been learning about Python, trying to teach myself Python. I took a class, and I'm reading a book And one of the chapters was about data scraping. So if you don't know what data scraping is, so it's a technique where you can kind of automatically scour the internet for information. So there's this website called myvisajobs.com. So I had the idea to do a data scrape of that website to get a list of the H-1B dependent companies, and then cross-referencing that with the PPP data from the Small Business Administration. I could come up with my own list of the body shops that had gotten PPP. So I did that, and I came up with about 1,500 companies, body shops that had gotten PPP. So I've written about a bunch of those companies. I think I've done about 50 of them so far.
Okay.
So it seems to be quite popular. So it seems like roughly 1 out of every 3 of the body shops that have actually received PPP money. So just to give you an idea, so like the national average for small companies is 5% have gotten PPP.
Okay.
So with these staffing companies, it's more like 1 in every 3. So it's quite a lot of them that have gotten it, and I think the amount it's in the billions of dollars. So and this is money, and they can apply for forgiveness for these loans, so they don't have to pay it back. So if they provide evidence that they've used the money to pay the salaries of their workers, they're not obligated to pay back any of this money. So that's just kind of a history of the research that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and technically, they're not supposed to apply for PPP, right?
Well, so you're supposed to. If you can apply for PPP if your business is affected by the pandemic. So if you can't, so if your company has money, if you're doing work, you can apply for the loan, but you should pay it back. So if you're not using it to cover the paychecks of your workers, and a lot of companies have paid back their loans because it turns out they didn't need the loan. Maybe they didn't know if they would need the loan.
Yeah.
But so you do need to provide some evidence that your payroll. When on the loan, you're actually supposed to put the number of jobs that you're able to retain using the loan. So, this program was kind of designed to get the money out quickly. So I think there was very little. I think it was just kind of rubber stamp these applications as they came in. But the auditing, they wanted to set it up so that on the back end is when. So I think one of the federal government agencies is going to actually take a look at this data and audit it to see if these companies did something improper or not.
Yeah.
So that's when I find something that I think looks like it might be fraudulent, so I submitted through the GAO, which is the Government Accountability Office. So they're the ones who are investigating these types of fraud. And things that are suspicious to me is say if a company if they put in a number that looks fake, like a lot of these companies, they put down like 200 jobs retained or 500 jobs retained, and I'm like, really, you have 300 employees exactly? These numbers seem like they're just kind of pulled out of thin air. Yeah. I don't know if I believe these numbers.
Yeah, that's really.
And Jay Palmer and what he had said, he said a lot of these companies, we know they're not paying their employees. So like in the case of if you have workers that are in the bench and they're not, they don't have any work for these guys and they're not paying them anything, and it's like, well then the PPP loan, it looks very suspicious then.
Yeah.
I think that was Jay's concern.
Yeah, you did an excellent job. It's really astonishing and interesting, the kind of the tweets that I have been reading.
Yeah, it's definitely been an eye opener, and
Yeah.
The thing is, so it gets kind of repetitive. You start to see patterns with these companies that they're a lot of doing the same kind of things over and over again. There's just so many of them. So when there's over 1,000 companies, sometimes I have a hard time finding which ones to talk about.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to look for keywords in the reviews to kind of draw my attention to which ones are some of the worst companies. So that's what I was kind of playing with today. I was writing a Python script that searches the reviews of the companies to see which ones have certain keywords. and that way I can instead of wasting my time looking through all of them, I can say like this one looks like it might be one of the worst ones.
Yeah, got it. Excellent. And how do you feel? I mean, as an American, how do you feel? Uh, some people may get hurt by the word if I use Indians, but how do you see Indian H1B? They see consultancies, but we call typically body shops. How do you feel? Uh, Otherwise, let me put it the other way around. Suppose I'm in India and somebody came from Pakistan or America or Bangladesh who is not an Indian, right? Then they take taxpayers' money when there is a COVID pandemic, and they are which legally or technically they are not eligible, but they are taking in Indian denominations. It's called crores, and then enjoying it. So I feel my blood boils when I.
Yeah,
So how do
yeah.
you feel as an
I think it causes, based on the reactions on Twitter, you can see a lot of people get emotional about it.
Yeah.
I think I think it falls under abuse of the government resources, definitely. Although the interesting thing is that the way the program is set up, there's actually no requirements as far as criminal behavior. So companies that have ongoing legal troubles, they're actually allowed to receive PPP money. I think the only thing that disqualifies them is if they've committed a felony. So a felon, for example, cannot receive PPP. And people have even complained in the media about that because they have these reformed criminals. So say somebody gets out of jail and he has a business, and now he can't, his business can't get relief because he has a felony on his record. Yeah. So I think some people even want to have convicted felons be able to receive PPP. But like, how does it make me feel? It doesn't make me feel good about it. I think this is something that kind of predates us, like just the fact that we have these companies operating and they're exploiting. Like it causes a lot of bad effects, I think, for a lot of different people. Not only the workers that are taking these jobs, they get exploited, and then these are jobs that could be done by people here in the United States.
Yeah.
So they're basically displaced by somebody else, and then the crime aspect of it, it's definitely concerning, and I would like to see more action taken against some of these companies. So, like, I think what they've been doing is they've been kind of issuing these requests for evidence, and trying to make it harder for some of these. So, like, they have kind of a blacklist of these companies, and they've been slowing them down by like saying, well, when the H-1B applications come in, they say some of these companies are flagged, and they push back and they ask for more documentation with these RFPs. But then, I think these companies are they're suing the government because they say that this behavior is new. They haven't been doing this before. So, and they've actually been successful with some of these lawsuits in overturning these new policies. And so, if you have I don't know if you're familiar with the IT Serve Alliance, but there's like a coalition of these companies. And I think they've been successful, with a few lawsuits against USCIS. So I think as long as you kind of tolerate this, the kind of the criminal behavior, and I think it's just going to keep spreading and getting worse until we do something about it. That's basically all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's very sad. I mean, I don't know how people react. I'm against crime in H1B. I'm not against H1B. That's what, and I'm against generalization. But it is like technically H1B dependent or not eligible because, for example, I'm the owner of a body shop or consultancy. I will show some fund in my bank. Then ACS will approve it. But how can I go to government and say, give me fund, I don't have money to pay for my employees? That is I don't know how long it will stand, how far it will stand legally. That is point one.
Yeah, and it seems like these companies, sorry to interrupt, but it seems like these companies, they're kind of designed just to take money. So it seems like just another form of scam. So So, like they scam the workers by, like say, if somebody accepts a job and then they say, well, you have to pay me so many $1,000s to get an H-1B visa, and then you can work in my company. And then so right away, like they're taking money from the employees who haven't even started working there yet. And then and then say that the employee starts working at this company, and now the company withholds their paycheck for the first 45 days or 60 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And the company. Sorry for that.
Yeah, that's
this
fine.
Is my cat.
Yeah, and
but and
yeah.
So it just seems like they're taking money, but it's like, do they ever pay any money out? It just seems like there's money coming in, and everything is just kind of they're just kind of leeching off of the employees and the government, and everybody, the clients. How do the clients feel about these companies?
Yeah.
That say, they put a worker in a job, and the worker maybe not even the same worker that this interview, where the worker doesn't have the experience that, where I work, we hired some of these guys, it seemed like they didn't know what they were doing, I ended up kind of having to do their job for them, so it was like, these guys were representing themselves when they...
Yeah, or otherwise they might be knowingly allowing, right? Like I will show you, see, this is a H1B candidate, and then his petitioner, he takes money even before coming to America, then one layer, another layer, then prime vendor, and then client. So each one has a chain, and each guy will say, I will pay you only when this guy pay. And each guy has a 90 days cycle. So can you imagine the bottom line in the chain of a seventh guy, when does he get his first paycheck?
It's kind of like a pyramid scheme, isn't it?
Yeah, pyramid.
The guy at the top, very rich. Whoever sits at the top who's collecting all that money, everybody's getting kind of a cut, but it seems like the guy at the bottom is the worst.
And all these are all siblings or girlfriends or somebody chain. You can't touch a single person. If you touch, they will kick you out and they will bring another one by telling lies to the client. He died or he went to India or something like that. And that is one. Second is these guys are all got PPP funds, which they are not supposed to.
So do you think those middlemen are so like where does the PPP money go? Does it go to those middlemen? Does it go to the owners? Does it go to who gets the money? Because it seems like the workers are probably not. They're the ones who are probably getting screwed.
I've been in touch with many ex-colleagues or friends, whoever people writing. They didn't get any salaries. Bench is illegal according to Department of Labor, and they didn't get. Instead, some of them they gave a leave letter, forced leave letter, saying whatever the reasons they employers or those guys demand. One second, some they got 50% of salaries of this PPP batch. Some they did not get. Some they fired. Many of in Michigan they fired, and then they looted this PPP money. So they fired H1Bs literally because COVID situation, and then automobile industry they fired on March 31st, whatever. But they didn't pay, but they got the money. So that is where I don't know any department or any personnel in government departments are working or are just like in India. They're doing under the table. I don't know. I mean, somebody watching this video from the government side should be able to tell what is this going on, right? As a layman or common man.
I want to say the government, I want to say they don't have enough resources to investigate all the possible cases of fraud. There's there's thousands of these body shop companies. I don't think they physically have enough people to do site visits and enforce every report. So when I report, when you send a tip, you get a response that says, thank you for the tip, but there's no way to track the investigation. There's no way to get any feedback about it. So it's kind of it just goes into this black hole, and you don't know what's going to happen if there's going to be any investigation or any outcomes.
do you? There are two things I want to tell. One is you see the DC based guy, who was a Microsoft X director, whatever. He sent that money through wire fraud into India, and then he was arrested. Many may not be arrested because they are also following the same approach. That is one. And did you take this to your senators or your politicians, lawmakers in your area?
So I've sent letters to, like my local congressman, his name is Raja Krishnamurthy. So I've sent letters to him, and I've gotten, he sent me a response. So, it's actually possible to engage the politicians here. So, which is nice. And he invites me to conference calls. There was one last week. So, I don't feel like there's a problem with accessing the officials. So in his response to me, he acknowledged that there is a lot of fraud in the H-1B visa program, but he seemed to think that the benefits of the program outweigh the fraud. So he thinks that the economic benefits and everything are substantially better than the fraud in the system. So I don't know if I agree with that, but I think that the program is kind of flawed, from the very beginning of the way it was set up. But and to me, I know there's been efforts to reform the program and try to fix the problems. But like as you've seen, even if you create all these laws, if you don't enforce the laws, well, what's the point?
Then what for they are elected, right? Yeah, one subscriber called and said one guy called him saying that he got $1 to $3 million by showing the fraudulent documents. So he doesn't know how to utilize the fund. So he called him to find out, do you have anybody to take the loan? Again, suppose I got $3 million, though I don't know, I don't have staff, or staff is in India. So I want to show somebody that I lend money from them, and then I will show the government at the end that I have to show the expenses for this, right? So that is what people are doing now, these shops.
Yeah, you think so? It seems like these companies have a lot of experience with payroll. So it seems to me like it would be no problem at all for them to say, submit an application and say, like, well, I have these are all my employees, these are all the amount that I paid all of these guys. So if they've been doing this, for their taxes and everything for so many years, it just seems like it's probably not much of a big deal to them. So you've been running the payroll for all this time. So when it comes time to provide evidence that you're paying these workers, so here it is. So, but
As
so
as an honest American, what do you tell your children about this? Like two things. I mean, do you ignore generalization, but at the same time, do you say in something wrong in Indian education system or society? They're coming here and they're taking our jobs. They're same time they're doing felony. So, what is the message that you?
I think that the way that generally in America, the way we raise our kids is to kind of teach them right and wrong, kind of moral values. So I think it's usually pretty obvious when somebody is doing something that's moral or immoral. So I think that's basically what we try to instill in our kids. So it's that crime is wrong. And we have a saying that crime doesn't pay. So because you see a lot of criminals do dumb things and they get caught. So the jail. So I think that's basically what I teach my. I have a son. He's 9 years old, and I hope by the time that he grows up, there'll be jobs available. For him, so that he can be productive. I hope I still have a job. I still have like 20 years left in my in my career. So hopefully I continue to have a job. So yeah, it's not so much. I think my perception of people from other countries. I have a lot of friends from other countries. I have friends from India. I play fantasy football with these guys. I go to their houses. It's not. I try not to stereotype or generalize. So I think I actually feel sympathetic to these. Everybody's just trying to make a living. Everybody's just trying to survive. So, but I think sometimes the system is set up in a way that it's just so you have people falling in these traps. like students who are they're going to college and they're looking for, like they have an OPT work permit, and so now they want to find a place to work, and they get suckered into these, working for these awful things. If you don't do enough research, and then you don't know, what you're getting yourself into, and then so like before you know it, you're in a job, and and you can't, and then they're trapped, right? They can't get out because they're not trapped. And they feel like, and if they do anything wrong, the company's going to revoke. The company's going to cause them to lose all their visas and get deported. So these students are probably scared, and they get it. So I think I'm kind of sympathetic to their plight as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's more of a systemic thing than an individual thing or a problem with people coming from certain countries. So I know. I hope I don't have any stereotypical notions of, that people from some countries are better or worse than any other country.
Yeah, this is one aspect, and the other one is like, how do you feel? Just give me a minute. I think it is stopped at recording, and 4 more minutes left. If it is over, then I will bring one more phone.
Okay. You want to have me quickly go through some of the companies?
Yeah. Can you grow? Can you browse?
Can I share my screen?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, it says I can't share my screen. So maybe I'll just talk through some of these.
You can share or no? Because
it says I have to restart Skype, so I think I'll just talk through them.
Or you want to start again? You want me to stop and you want to start?
Oh, it's okay. We can do it for the next call, I think.
No, yeah.
So the first company I wanted to talk about from yesterday, it's a Pennsylvania company called Soft Nice.
Yeah.
So, this just looking at the reviews on Glassdoor. So somebody who was a business development manager at their New Jersey office. So I think they have offices in New Jersey as well as like Texas. So this guy worked there for a year, and he says they make fake resumes. These guys have like only weeks of training. So, according to their resumes, they have probably like years of experience. So they bring in these OPT candidates, and then they hype them up. And then they have fake references. Another review for them was they have proxies for interviews.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about your resume inaccuracy, because there's going to be a guy who's going to be taking your place in the interview. You don't have to worry about putting anything in your resume that experience that you don't have.
In my research, I found American resume is only 1 page, but whereas Indian resume, we have a bunch of 8 to 9 pages. That is the US IT standard in USA.
And I guess that's normal. They say it's spicing the resume, so they think it's okay to kind of fluff up the resume with false information. And like I told you, I interviewed one guy where his entire resume, I think, was just a total lie. So it was a very awkward interview because I asked this guy to do some coding, and he couldn't do any coding. And then the other review for Soft Nice, somebody said stay away. So this is at their Dallas, Texas office. So he said that from their clients. So some of these companies that do business with Soft Nice, they won't hire their consultants anymore.
Okay.
So that was Soft Nice. The second company, I don't know how you say it, but it's all letters. It's JSMN. Is it like Jasmine? I don't know how they refer to their company. Yeah. But it looks like, so they're in New Jersey. So they got money from PPP. So the first review on Glassdoor said that he said that so you get a job there and they run payroll and they pay 20%. So I guess that's what you're talking about, the cut that you get, so like when you held up the pencils. So like your small cut of that, the contractor pays X amount of dollars, and then what you receive is like 20%. Is that right? So,
for sure.
So that doesn't fair
It
deal?
depends. Each one take 20 to 30 to average is $20 to $45 an hour. Yeah. So like that they take cut. So they're all taking because they forwarded. Unfortunately, they forwarded your resume through their business email ID. That's it. So
Yeah.
they all become layers, and each one take cut. And but
So are you able to with the director software, are you able to splice? Can you combine recordings?
oh
So do you want to start another recording and then
yeah.
you said it stopped recording?
I can add the clip. I have that editing software director, Power
Okay.
Director in the laptop. I can club. Okay, the one you are talking on your screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We'll.
Do you want me to restart Skype so I can share my screen?
Yeah, sure. You want
Okay,
to
so
start? Can I stop the video and you will start the Skype?
yeah. Company called Soft Nice.
Yeah.
So, and this just looking at the reviews on Glassdoor. So somebody who was a business development manager at their New Jersey office. So I think they have offices in New Jersey as well as like Texas. So this guy worked there for a year, and he says they make fake resumes. These guys have like only weeks of training. So according to their resumes, they have like probably like years of experience. So they bring in these OPT candidates, and then they hype them up, and then they have fake references. Another review for them was they have proxies for interviews.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about your resume inaccuracy because there's going to be a guy who's going to be taking your place in the interview. You don't have to worry about putting anything in your resume that experience that you don't have.
In my research, I found American resume is only one page, but whereas Indian resume, we have a bunch of 8 to 9 pages. That is the US IT standard in USA.
And I guess it's normal. They say it's spicing the resume, so they think it's okay to kind of fluff up the resume with the false information. And like I told you, I interviewed one guy where his entire resume I think was just a total lie. So it was a very awkward interview because I asked this guy to do some coding, and he couldn't do any coding. Yeah. Oh, and then the other review for Soft Nice, that somebody said stay away. So this is at their Dallas, Texas office. So he said that they've actually been banned from their clients. So some of these companies that do business with Soft Nice, they won't hire their consultants anymore.
Okay.
So that was Soft Nice. The second company, I don't know how you say it, but it's all letters. It's JSMN. Is it like Jasmine? I don't know how they refer to their company. But it looks like, so they're in New Jersey. So they got money from PPP. So the first review on Glassdoor said that he said that so you get a job there and they run payroll and they pay 20%. So I guess that's what you're talking about, the cut that you get, so like when you held up the pencils. So like your small cut of that, the contractor pays X amount of dollars, and then what you receive is like 20%. Is that right? So,
For sure.
that doesn't sound like a fair deal.
Depends. Each one take 20 to 30 to average is $20 to $45 an hour. So stop recording. Maybe yeah. So like that they take cut. So they're all taking because they forwarded. Unfortunately, they forwarded your resume through their business email ID. That's it. So they all become layers, and each one take cut.
Yeah.
And
so are you able to with the director software, are you able to splice? Can you combine recordings?
Oh,
But do you want to start another recording and then?
Yeah.
You said it stopped recording.
I can add the clip. I have that editing software director, Power Director in the laptop. I can club. Okay, the one you are talking on your screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We will.
Do you want me to restart Skype so that I can share my screen?
Yeah, sure. You want to start? Can I stop the video and you will start the Skype?
Yeah. So let me